From the Mumbai studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Arnab Goswami on the debate at 9. Powered by Century Ply and Orient Electric.
Good evening and welcome, viewers. Thank you for joining me once more in these critical times. Tonight on the debate, we shall begin with a one versus one debate on the economic package between a government representative at the topmost level and a critic of the government. Then we shall go on to discuss the 5 things, what I call are the 5 undesirable things that we do not need to do at a time like this. Reflect attributes like callousness or selfishness or extreme paranoia. They just don't have a place now. All through, we will also talk about whether we are actually flattening the curve. But most importantly, at 10 p.m. tonight, in a special segment, we will take your lockdown questions. Because if the lockdown has to be effective, then your questions will need to be answered. We'll have top doctors, top medical professionals, government representatives, political representatives, everyone on the program tonight. So I'll be really grateful if you can stay as long as you can, because I think in the course of the next 2 hours, we'll deal with a multiplicity of issues that we are facing. But let me begin tonight by saying that I am really, really proud of the 2 points that the Prime Minister of India made at the G20 video conference. The leadership that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is showing at this time, not just in India, but around the world, is heartwarming. It gives us confidence and strength and, of course, a great deal of pride. Now, what are the 2 points that the Prime Minister made today in that video call? The first was that human beings and not economic targets should be at the center of the global strategy. What does this mean? This means that Prime Minister Narendra Modi told all of the G20 leaders that the focus has to be saving lives and not financial interest or corporate profits. That saving lives has to be at the center. And I think this point needs to be underscored because many world leaders have made a mistake of putting economic interests and not human lives first. And the second point our Prime Minister made is that medical research must now be shared very freely. Now, this means that you cannot put a cost to scientific advancement in the corona battle. That you cannot tomorrow come out with a vaccine and then refuse to share the details or the production facilities of any such vaccine with the rest of the world. A price that the poor of this world may not be able to pay. So the Prime Minister of India is saying that any advance that the world makes, that the scientific community makes anywhere in the world, Europe, America, India, anywhere, any vaccine has to first be affordable and available. These are simple points, and we are really proud that our Prime Minister has told the world that only when we save lives and only when we save everyone's life can this battle be won. This is simple and effective messaging once again from the Prime Minister at this critical time. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to cover, a lot of ground to cover in the course of the next 2 hours. Thank you for joining me, and there are 4 or 5 debates. First, of course, we are starting with a political debate on why some people are opposing a package for the poor. We'll follow this up by talking about the attributes as a society we must not do at a time like this, which includes not cooperating with the law enforcement agencies. The third point that we are talking about today, and that is something we'll pick up at 10 o'clock, is on how your lockdown questions need effective answers. There are many details that you want to know about how your daily life is impacted and how you can go about your daily life at the time of a lockdown. I'll open up for calls. We'll put WhatsApp numbers. It's going to be an interactive show, so we have a lot of ground to cover. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. And here are the headlines this Thursday evening on the debate tonight. With 88 new cases, India records the highest single-day jump, taking the corona count in India above 690. Prime Minister Narendra Modi leads from the front at the G20 summit, asks world leaders to put people above economic targets, put people first. The Prime Minister also says that medical research and healthcare must be both available and affordable. This is the Prime Minister's proposal setting the global agenda at the G20.
Prime Minister Garib Kalyan scheme that we want to come out with is expected to meet a total of 1,70,000 crores.
The Modi government declares a financial package worth 1,70,000 crore rupees for those severely affected by the COVID lockdown. We cannot let corona villains weaken our spirit and our fight. India is determined to break the chain and win this battle. At 10 p.m. tonight on my debate, a panel of very eminent doctors will be joining me live along with administrators and take your lockdown questions in a special and interactive session. Viewers and ladies and gentlemen, people first, not profit. This has been Prime Minister Narendra Modi's only priority in the battle against the coronavirus. Taking that very principle forward, his government today announced a massive 1.7 lakh crore financial relief package that will benefit 80 crore Indians. This will help all those who need this the most, farmers, daily wages. And most importantly, it will help India's COVID warriors, emergency services. Why should anyone have a problem? Here is what happened, what has been announced, and then we have a one versus one debate.
A massive 1.70 lakh crore package for the poor.
Prime Minister Garib Kalyan scheme that we want to come out with is expected to meet a total of 1,70,000 crores.
A rollout that will benefit our frontline warriors, our doctors, nurses and sanitation workers.
We shall be providing 50 lakhs per person as medical insurance cover. For those warriors, the sanitation workers in government hospitals, the ASHA workers, and all of them, paramedics, nurses, all of them, doctors inclusive.
A relief scheme that will help 80 crore citizens of the country. From farmers to laborers to daily wage earners, they will all get help.
5 kgs each month for the next 3 months, whichever they take, of wheat or rice. In addition to the 5 kgs they already get, will be given for free. We announce a wage increase in Manrega. This will benefit 5 crore families. And the wage rate being increased will result in 2,000 rupees per worker.
Even critics are backing the government's decision. Rahul Gandhi says it's the first step in the right direction. So will those raising questions now justify their contention? Let's debate.
I am joined on the debate tonight by Sanjeev Sanyal, who is Principal Economic Advisor to the Government of India in the Finance Ministry. Besides being one of the world's best respected global macroeconomists, Sanjeev has a fantastic professional background and has a deep understanding of what a crisis like this could do to the global community and our response. Opposing the government today is Rajiv Desai. I will come to you, Rajiv, but first to Sanjeev. Sanjeev, this 1.7 lakh crore PM Garib Kalyan Yojana has been announced. The finance minister has said we do not want people to stay hungry or without money in their hands. But some perpetual critics are criticizing even this. I'd like you to begin by giving your perspective. What was the fundamental focus while announcing the package? What was the most important point that you wanted to address to start with?
Just to be clear, you can hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear, Sanjeev. We can hear you loud and clear. Please continue.
Okay, great. So basically what's happening is that we have here a approach somewhat different from what many other countries in the world may have been doing, which is that in most other places, what they've done is done one really big package. In the case of India, what we have done is we have opted for an approach of doing it step by step. The first step, as you know, was that we decided that we would first look at the human aspect of things, the health aspect of things. And what we have done now a major lockdown for 3 weeks. Prime Minister in the G20 as well emphasized the fact that we will first take care of the health aspect of the whole episode. Then what we did, we recognized that the corporates faced a serious and immediate problem because this was the end of a financial year. There were many, many deadlines that they had to look at. And so Finance Minister then pushed many of these deadlines to June 30th. That happened a couple of days ago. Today, we are taking care of a third issue, which is we recognize that there is a serious problem for the bottom of our society, bottom of the pyramid, because of a major disruption in their livelihood. So what we are doing here is trying to put some money in their pockets, providing physically food to them directly, then providing gas cylinders, some credit, and so on and so forth. And of course, providing insurance to the health workers who obviously are at the front line of the whole. This is a third step that we have taken. Now, we recognize that there are other issues with the economy. MSMEs have a problem. There are other parts of the economy that also will require. And the finance that we will do more where necessary. But I hope you do recognize that we have a somewhat different approach from what many other countries may be doing.
Yeah, I do recognize that. And I began my program this evening, Sanjeev, by making fundamentally that same point. Because if you were to see what the Prime Minister said at the G20 video conference as well, essentially our Prime Minister is putting people first, not profit first. Our Prime Minister is looking for a situation where tomorrow, if there's a scientific advancement in this battle, it will be available to every Indian and every person in Spain, every Brazilian, and every Japanese. Our Prime Minister is looking at affordability and putting people first. Truly, if you ask me, I don't know what anyone has to be angry about, and hence I'd like to go with curiosity to Rajiv Desai. Rajiv Desai, you are angry, but you have nothing to be angry about. You are cribbing, but you have nothing to be cribbing about. You are cynical, because you have nothing to be cynical about anymore. All the unfounded critics have been silenced by the Corona package and what the Prime Minister has said today. Yet I invite you, with the generosity of my heart, to ask you, what really is your problem? Do you have any complaints left, if any at all? Because I've been seeing the cribs. I want to know if any remain.
Arnab, first of all, I'm at a huge disadvantage. I'm talking to you on my cell phone because I haven't been able to get, your guys haven't been able to talk me through the laptop. That's number one. Number two, as far as criticism is concerned, I have not criticized the package because I've really not quite, I've only got two or three top line headlines in which there is some confusion, for example, between what the BJP president said and the finance minister said. There's a lot of little, and I can understand that it's a package put together and it'll work itself out over a period of time. And that is precisely my problem, that when you make such an announcement to shut down a country of 1.3 billion people, and virtually, for 21 days, you should have thought all these things through before, and you should have informed people before. You have you have the entire government machinery with you, but nobody until this. Even when this, I told you there are lots of confusion in this package as well. So, in the midst of this anxiety of a life and death situation, of a pandemic of the nature of coronavirus, on top of it, you have this kind of rough and ready approach, which is like I'm going to lock you down, and then we'll work things out, how you can go and get stuff done, how you can do, there are a lot of people, we can't, we've got people, for example, in the office, how are we ever even going to pay them? And there's all kinds of issues. So this, I think, this government that you tout as being so wise and so together,
yes,
should have thought this through.
Well, I will let Sanjeev respond to you. The debate is not with me. However, I will invite your attention, Mr. Desai, before Sanjeev takes over, to the fact that both the supply chain, the food supply chain, and the banking system has been working absolutely seamlessly. And therefore, we need to recognize that in itself is a major achievement. However, I would also like to point out, before I hand over to Sanjeev, that look at who the government is helping: farmers, Manrega workers, poor widows, pensioners, Divyangs. You need to look at the sections the government is helping, and I find your snigger very facetious. Truly, it's not required. The government is handling daily wage earners, farmers, small businesses. You see, the question here is 4.8 crore employees in the organized sector. A scheme is introduced by paying both the employer and the employee for the next 3 months. I think the scale of what the government is doing is absolutely staggering. And I think fundamentally your problem today is with the fact that the government is helping the poor and not the Vadras. Your problem is with the fact that it is not the rich, but the poor who the government is helping. I'd like Sanjeev to respond to you. You see, the government has transferred ex gratia amount of 500 rupees. The government has, I only used them as a metaphor. Okay, I continue. The government has transferred ex gratia amount of 500 rupees per month to 20 crore Jan Dhan account holders. It is offered free cooking gas to BPL families. That is incredible. It's massive. However, I will let Sanjeev respond to you. Sanjeev.
Okay, so you'll have to let me speak because we have a connection problem. So only when I finish will I be able to hear anybody else. Let me first of all point out that I heard a great deal of dissatisfaction, but nothing particularly concrete in his criticism. He said that we should have been better prepared. He seemed to give the suggestion that somehow we were locking down the country for 21 days because, we thought it was a good idea just for the fun of it. I'm afraid that is not at all the case. This is an emergency situation. There is a global pandemic going on, and we have had to do this in a situation which was clearly not of our making. So I'm afraid to say that accuse us of having done something as if we are doing just, because we think this is some sort of a joke is not at all the case. We took this considered decision because, frankly, social distancing of this kind is the best weapon we have, and we have no choice but to use it. So that is the problem really is. Yes, there will be some.
The problem really is, Sanjeev,
niggles along the way, but I'm sure they are being very rapidly worked out.
The problem really is right now that
1.3 billion people into a lockdown of this kind, and without causing too much disruption. This is not an easy thing to do. You have to give credit where it's due. Now, what we are trying to do here again is step by step take you through what we are the problems and unwinding them. The first problem that I said was the problem that we had a deadline coming up for corporates. We have postponed them to 30th of June. We had a problem where the bottom of the pyramid did not have enough food. We have begun to do things in order to help with that. If necessary, we will do more in other areas as well, including we recognize that there may be issues with the corporate sector, particularly the MSMEs. So it is, we take feedback, and if you do have some genuine and clear to provide us and a solution, we will be very happy to implement it. I think that's if it can be done.
That's very well articulated. I will leave it at that. I think we've had a good conversation. Mr. Rajiv Desai, very often on occasion like this, you and I have fought, and I have had the many occasions when you have walked off my show. However, Mr. Desai, today I find the need for us all, including you, me, my friend Sanjeev, all of us to come together And the first step that I shall do in my own way towards that direction is to share with you, Mr. Desai, the details of what the government has done. And I think if you study the details, you've had a strong business background, you will understand that a fair amount of detailing is being given right now. Viewers, I'll put it simply, here is how I understand it. First, the government decided that we need to do social distancing, and so there was the Janta curfew. Then Prime Minister Modi decided, no, this needs to go on for longer. So he said there will be a lockdown for 3 weeks. Then he decided, and the government decided, that we need to help the people at the front line. So they gave 15,000 crore rupees for medical equipment, ICU beds, personal protection equipment for the people in the front line of the battle. Then the government of India and the Prime Minister said, now we need to help the poor, the disadvantaged, those who will face dislocation, and who may not have the funds to deal with this. So that's what has been announced today. Now there are some people saying, what about the middle classes and what about the corporates? I'm sure that the government will look at that as well. I think Sanjeev has indicated that today. But this is a step-by-step approach. My dear viewers and Indians across, let us have patience. Patience is as important as resolve. Only then we will win. I thank you both for joining me on the debate face-off at the start.